I'm Clint. Are Esther, PG, Sam, and Mark around? Come on up. All right. Or while we get settled here, we got any true crime fans in the house? All right. How are y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, I'm Clint. Nice to meet you. Esther, great. You want to put a face, name to a face. Mark. Sam and Mark, great. And then do we have your call here too as well?
Paul.
Paul. Great. PG, great. Paul. Missing anybody? Sam?
Chris?
No, Sam too. Sam.
Chris. Who's Chris?
Chris is not going to be here.
Oh, he's not here?
All right, so great. Hi, we're talking about investigative journalism, true crime, and justice. I think what we'll do is we'll go through a few questions together. My name is Clint Schaff. I'm the Vice President in charge of podcast, audio, and film development at the Los Angeles Times. And I'm representing Dirty John, hosted by Chris Goffard as well. To my left, to your right, we have folks behind some really amazing podcasts. I think what we'll start is maybe just for each of you to introduce yourselves and your show. Podcasts are very fragmented, and we all have our favorites, so it's possible that not everyone has heard all of our shows. Esther, maybe you could take away introducing yourself and your show.
Thanks. My name is Esther Ludlow. My podcast is Once Upon a Crime. It's a weekly... Thank you. It's a weekly scripted true crime podcast that I write, research, edit, record, everything. It's me. Been in existence for 3.5 years, just past 150 episodes, and just passed over 15 million downloads.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you for being here. And gentlemen, would you like to introduce yourselves and your program as well, your nominated podcast?
All right, I'm Mark Ramsey. I'm writer, producer of The Undercovers, hosted by Ed O'Neill. Prior projects included Inside Jaws, Inside The Exorcist, Inside Psycho, and other stuff that isn't in this category, but those are.
And my name is Paul Casheri, and I created and helped do The Undercovers with Ed O'Neill and Mark. And it's a story about the world's best undercover agents, everywhere from the Golden Triangle to Guadalajara. Next season's going to be with Joe Pistone and
Donnie
Brasco. So it's a lot of fun, and it's been an awesome experience.
Amazing. Well, thank you all for being here. Representing Dirty John, the Los Angeles Times Wondery podcast. For those of you unfamiliar, thank you. For those of you unfamiliar, this is the story, a real-life story of centered around a gentleman named John Meehan and his relationship with the family. The mother name is Deborah Newell, and our reporter Christopher Goffard, when he learned about the story, followed the web of deceit and abuse and coercive control, and really told this story about this man's multi-year effort with multiple women, in fact, and then he gets his in the end. And ultimately, it's a tale that's educational in a lot of ways for people who haven't gone through those types of experiences, to have more empathy for those who maybe have been conned, and for those who have, to find support and find resources for it. So really proud of that investigative journalism podcast, as I'm proud of all of you for your outstanding work as well. One of the things I wanted to ask about is true crime is one of those genres that gets a lot, and we have good listens with this genre and investigative journalism and real life stories. There's no shortage of other ways to find out real life stories. There are newspapers, books, television, documentaries, etc. What is it you think about this category of investigative journalism, true crime, and justice that is resonating in the audio space? And then maybe if you don't mind adding, is there any tactics or strategies you're employing in your shows to resonate with audiences that maybe is unique to audio? Anyone want to take that on?
Well, I'll start. I think part of it is the truth is literally stranger than fiction. I mean, you can't make some of this stuff up. And in fact, I think all of us know that when there's a true crime show and there's like something in it which is fictional, people get pissed. Because how dare you give me something untrue in this show? And then you've got a show like Dirty John where, spoiler alert, the woman at the end kills the guy, stabs the guy, using skills she learned from watching Walking Dead. Now, that can only happen in the real world.
Right. Absolutely. Is there anything you want to add?
I heard this over and over today. They were talking about people asking about podcasting and what people want to listen to and come back to listen to, and how do you grow an audience, and kept hearing over and over storytelling. It's all about the storytelling. And I feel that that is really a big part of True Crime Podcast, is telling these stories in a way that resonates with regular people who don't have these experiences. I mean, who has an experience like Tara Newell? No one. But everybody could put themselves in her shoes of what she went through and this whole ordeal. And I think people kept coming back and telling everybody about it, saying you have to listen to this. So for me, I do, some stories that people know very well. I do other stories people don't know at all. But it's always about telling it in a way that tells the complete story with details, because the details are crazy. It's not just glossing it over like a Law and Order. I mean, I love Law and Order, but I mean, it's really quick where you get the crime and the trial and but this is really looking at the backstories. And that's what Once Upon a Crime does, is we look at the backstory. How did this come to be? And I hear over and over people say, I knew that story, but I didn't know that. And so that's why they keep coming back, is what is it I don't know about this case?
Right, yeah, you're telling the story behind the story.
Yeah.
I love that. And with Dirty John, I think we have the benefit. I work at a journalism institution, a news organization, and I guess I find that the rarest shows, Man in the Window, a bunch of other great podcasts we have, the journalists have to unlearn some best journalism practices. Not the most important ones, truth, accuracy, getting the whole story, but techniques around the inverted pyramid and presenting all the information up front. Like in a good audio story, there's tension from episode to episode, and it guides you along in an entertaining fashion. And I hear from the journalists that is sometimes a challenge. And so what I love about all of these podcasts here is that they're combining best storytelling practices of, best in class, award nominated audio storytelling techniques with some of the best practices of traditional news journalism, fact finding, and sticking to the story and telling truth statements, but maybe with the sexiness of that you might find of a Law and Order or something that is actually a fictional show based on real life headlines. So I really love that. So that's one of the things I think is succeeding for us. I wanted to ask a follow-up question maybe related to that. As you all are telling stories that are grounded in real life, or are real life, but you also want to have great conversions, loyalty, subscriptions, you want people to complete the episodes and to engage with you, so you want to be entertaining. I'm kind of curious how you any tips, or for anyone out there who has a podcast, or just to share how you're balancing that storytelling imperative with that journalism and fact imperative. While you think about it, maybe I'll share an example for us. We're doing a lot of that through partnerships. Yes. Great. A couple minutes. All right. So with us, we're doing it with partnering with different production companies. So Dirty John was a partnership with Wondery, and so their job was to make it sexy and interesting and engaging, and our job was to make it journalist fact-finding, grounded in truth. So that's our kind of trick, but I wonder if you had any tricks to share before we close.
It was interesting for me. I came from a television film background, and then to come to this, so I leaned on Mark a lot. And I also, the reason I love podcasting is because I didn't know anything about it, so I actually listened to old radio serials. I think it's a very pure way of telling a story, and I think listeners connect with that. To your point, though, Mark was very helpful with the rhythm and the beats of putting the sort of cliffhangers in the right spots and stuff like that. So it's very similar to obviously to script writing, only it's just a little bit different, and it was a different language for me, but it's really cool.
Yeah, there's like a vividness to it. I mean, you were talking about this earlier when you talked about the details. I mean, the details have to be drawn vividly. And if you draw vivid details, people can visualize, people can see the story. So people see it happening to them. They don't know, it is in their ears after all. So it is as if it's happening to them.
Fantastic.
I was just going to say the idea about, you're writing a script, but you're writing it for just somebody to hear. And they're not seeing anything, so you have to be very mindful of the type of descriptions you use and the words you use, and it's very different from when I put it on the page to knowing that it's going to be going, like you said, in their ears. and you have to put all those things in as you're writing. It's like, okay, well, here's where I pause, I'd wait here, and then I'd come in with this detail. So it's a completely different medium. I've never done this before. I did this, but it's so much fun because it is like you're telling bedtime stories, but not happen to be about murder. That's all.
Well, sweet dreams, everyone, and thank you. Congratulations, nominees. Thank you all for listening, and keep making great podcasts. Congratulations.